Namaskaram everyone. So we will talk today about the origin of the Jagat. So continuing our talk and discussion on the origin of the Jagat, and the perspective that I try to give is the one which is been mostly based on the Vedantic texts of Shankara Bhagavad. So all these days, yesterday and the day before yesterday, we had actually seen the relevance of Jagat in the present context as to why this creation of Jagat is required, and why is that Jagat forms an important aspect in all the spiritual progress that we all are embarked on. So as we had discussed in the first day, that Jagat is a framework which is actually created by the wish of God or by the krupe of God on all our beings, where we are trying to interpret the Jagat and the interpret and the omnipotency of the Bhagavanta. So that is why Jagat is required. And there is a process that was actually created. I mean, the Jagat was created, and the same process was explained in the talk yesterday also. So just for the greater good of all, I will just recapitulate as to what we had discussed yesterday. So the process of formation of Jagat is like this. First there is this Brahmavastu, and from that Brahmavastu, Avyakrita will be created, just as the clay part of a soil. So just is clay required for the potting. So we are just taking clay from which is a part of all the other components of the soil. So Avyakrita is that part of the Brahmavastu which is responsible for the creation of the Jagat. From Avyakrita, Avyakta and Prana arises, and using that Avyakta and Prana, Mahat and Ahankara arises. So Mahat and Ahankara are the Upadana Karanas for the actual manifestation of the Jagat. So actual manifestation of the Jagat, as we see, Mahat and Ahankara are two important things which are very much essential, and they actually the Ishvara gets the buddhi from Mahat and Manassu from Ahankara, and he manifests himself into Hiranyagarbha. Now this Hiranyagarbha actually is the most subtler version of the, I mean, he will be having all the tanmatras, and once we discuss the time frame, we will get to know we will get to have a better clarity of who Hiranyagarbha is. And this Hiranyagarbha will actually enter into all beings by his Manassu and Buddhi. And Hiranyagarbha is actually a soul who has done enough tapas and punya phala that he becomes the Hiranyagarbha for the creation. He becomes the Hiranyagarbha for the creation, and he creates the tanmatras, and the tanmatras are the subtler elements of the grosser things that we perceive. The grosser things that we perceive, the subtler elements of tanmatras include Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha in the particular order, because the Shabda is the most abstract of the and the most subtlest of the tanmatras, and Gandha is the most coarsest or the most thing which is perceivable by all of us. So from these tanmatras, there exists, or there is created something called Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi. So these are our Panchabhutas, and the process of creating these Panchabhutas are called the Panchikarana. So from the tanmatras, we create or we get all these the Panchabhutas. So therefore we create this Panchabhutas, and this is called the Panchikarana. This was where we had actually stopped. Now from these Panchabhutas, we then, in the chain of the creation from Hiranyagarbha, there exists or there creates there arises or the Hiranyagarbha gives birth to a person called Prajapati or Apara Brahma or Karya Brahma, who is actually responsible for the Jagat as we see. So from subtler and subtler elements, we are just coming into the more coarser and gross elements, where we can see it into more and more perceivable sort of thing. So this Prajapati does the Srishti Karya using the Agni, Jala and Prithvi, Agni, Jala and Prithvi Panchabhutas. So the other two Panchabhutas are actually very because when we are using Prithvi or when we are using Jala or when we are using Agni, they are the ones which are mostly responsible for all our all the things that we perceive and all the things that we see in the Jagat. So the other two, Akasha and Vayu, are actually abstract, and you cannot find the Nanyatva. So it is like this: if we are in a room, we cannot actually imagine or we cannot actually perceive a smaller cube of 1 meter cross 1 meter or 1 feet by 1 feet by 1 feet. So 1 feet cube, we cannot actually perceive it because we cannot have that distinction, or the Akasha Tanma, the Akasha Panchabhuta is so much abstract and subtle that we cannot actually create or we cannot actually differentiate the space unless there is an Akara. And for getting that Akara, more and more gross Panchabhutas are required. Now, the process of creation of what Prajapati does using this Agni, Jala and Prithvi is called the Trivrat Karana. So Trivrat Karana is only meaning to say that you are using three elements in different proportions. So this Trivrat Karana, what happens is like the Agni and Jala and Prithvi, let us say A, J and P, have their own different sort of mixtures. So what Prajapati does is, he will take different mixtures of this Agni, Jala and Prithvi. Suppose say he will take 90% of Agni, 6% of Jala and 4% of Prithvi. He will get some different type of Agni. So as you can, as we all know, that there is at least different types of Agnis. For example, the Agni which can cook the food cannot digest it. The Agni that can digest the food cannot cook it. So you can see that there is a difference in Agni, and therefore obviously the Jala Tattva, the Prithvi Tattva and Agni Tattva, we get different mixtures of this. And the Prajapati creates enough number of Agnis for that matter. Agnis which is like, for example, we have crude oil which will have more Jala Tattva, more Agni Tattva and less of Prithvi Tattva. Whereas we also have coal which is having more Prithvi Tattva, less Jala Tattva and more Agni Tattva. You see that these are different types of mixture that Prajapati gets into this one, and he will create enough number of Agnis. Similarly, he will create different Jalas. So he will have, for the only thing is, the Jala Tattva or the Jala Panchabhuta will be the majority Tattva or majority Panchabhuta in that product which is there. So he will create all these Agnis, he will create all the Jalas with the majority of Jala and lesser number of parts of Agni and Prithvi, and he will create all Prithvis. For example, we have enough Prithvis for it. We have different rocks. We have different kinds of rocks. Actually, you can see that the nature is built. The nature is filled with so much amount of enormous variety that we will have different types of rocks getting different types of heat. So you have a rock which is colder when the outside environment is warm. We also have rock which is extremely warmer or extremely hot when the other environment is hot or other environment is cold. So you can see that the variety of such Agnis, Prithvis and Jalas are created by the Prajapati. And these Agnis, Prithvis and Jalas, which are forming the Trivrat Karana, which are actually the stage, which are actually the mixture of three. So that is the first Trivrat Karana that he starts. Now, the second level of Trivrat Karana starts with this. From Agni Tattva, he takes Surya. From the Jala Tattva, he takes the rain. And from the Prithvi Tattva, he takes the earth. So these three elements are there. So the second level of grosser level of Trivrat Prana that happens is the Surya, the rain, and the earth part of it, which actually starts. Because of this, you have different types of tailas, you have different types of rasas, you have different types of annas. So from the Prithvi Tattva, you get different types of fruits and grains, food grains, and all the types of food grains that we get. From the Jala Tattva, we get different types of rasas, and we also get different types of tailas, which is the Agni Tattva. So using this Agni Tattva as taila and Jala Tattva as rasa and Anna Tattva from Prithvi, he will actually create majority of the shariras that all organisms including us will start to possess. So the process of flow is like this. From Brahma we get Avyakrita, and from Avyakrita we are getting the Avyakta and Prana. From that we are getting Mahatva and Ahankara. From that we are getting Tanmatras. After Panchikarana we are getting the Panchabhutas. After the first Trivrat Karana we are getting different Agnis, Jalas and Prithvis. And after the second Trivrat Karana we are getting the sun, rain and Bhumi. That is the actual perceivable thing for us. And then from this sun, rain and Bhumi, Surya, Varsha and Bhumi, we are getting different Taila, Rasa and Anna. From different Taila, Rasa and Anna, we are getting different Prani Shariras. So this actually is one of the one leg which is actually the Jada Prakriti, how Jada Prakriti is actually created. Similarly, if you are seeing, this is what I am saying is the actual the Karana for all these things. So this is the Karana aspect. Now, if you are coming to the Kartru aspect, now there is Parabrahma Vastu, and then there is Ishvara. From Ishvara, he arises, he gets into Hiranyagarbha, who has only Manasva and Buddhi. And from Hiranyagarbha, he gets into Prajapati. And Prajapati actually starts all the creation, which is he is the Karya Brahma and Apara Brahma. So he creates all the creations, and then he will generate and he will create enough number of living and non-living organisms using all these the tattvas, the Trivratkrita tattvas that we get. And then from him, we all get our lives. So from Prajapati, we are all getting our lives. So the second thing is, this is all about the Karanas that are there. The second thing that we have to understand is how much time each of these organisms live, or how much, what is the lifespan of each and every creations. So if you just imagine the way in which they have created the Manushas, one Manushya year will be 1 day for the Devatas, and 1200 such Devata years is 1 Kali Yuga. Now, 2 times of Kali Yuga is Dwapara, 3 times of Kali Yuga is Treta, 4 times of Kali Yuga is Krita. So there are again differences where 2 times of Kali and 4 times of, and there is this one. And all these yugas put together, they are called 1 Mahayuga, and 1000 such Mahayugas is 1 Kalpa. Now, 1 Kalpa is divided into 14 Manus. So each and every Manvantara will have at least 71.7134 of Mahayuga, which will be the Devata's lifespan. Now, at each and every Manvantara, the Trivratkata Srishti will go, the Trivratkata, that is all the Panchabhutas will go into Laya, and they will be destroyed, and only Prajapati will remain. So he does it for 40, every Manvantara, he will actually do this creation. So the Prajapati gets to create the Jagat for 14 times in his life, in his entire life. So 1 Kalpa will be the lifespan of Prajapati. Now, I want to quote Bhagavad Gita here. Again, this is from the Adhyaya 8. So Bhagavan, Krishna Bhagavan says, Sahasrayuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Virojana So it means to say that there is 1000 Chaturyugas will be one Ratri, and 1000 Chaturyuga will be one day for this entire Brahma, for this entire this one Kalpa, and one Kalpa will be Hiranyagarbha's one day. So he will be there after every day, after every Hiranyagarbha day, all Prajapatis are gone. So Hiranyagarbha is again remaining with Tanmatras. So at every morning of the Hiranyagarbha day, he creates Prajapati and he creates all the Panchabhutas. Then he will give birth to another Prajapati, and then he will start doing the cycle of the creation. Now, after 36,000 such Hiranyagarbha days, even he goes to Laya. Even he goes to Laya, and only Avyakrita will remain. Now, Avyakrita is actually a part of Brahma itself, and Avyakrita and Ishvara remain. And then he will again, the process will start for the next 36,000 Hiranyagarbha days. I think this will be very hard to believe, and this will be very hard to understand, because we will be trying to understand the enormous, if you just see the enormousness of this entire creation, it is very difficult to understand it with our limited buddhi and our limited intellectual capacity. So therefore, we have to accept Shastras as the pramana for all this Jagat creation and Jagat. Obviously, Jagat creation and the sustenance and the destroying capabilities are there only for Bhagavanta. And I think we have, if anyone says that they are going to destroy this world by their Kartrutva, it is just not possible, because even if people go, even if they nuke everything, and even if they say that the face of earth will be washed, there will be life, there will be everything which will go on till whatever is there in the Shastras. So we have to address that, and we have to accept that. So I think I will, Gundurgaji, I think I can stop at this point, so we can discuss more and more. And what I request is, if somebody has any other perspective which is either alternate to this or supporting this, or either they are saying that okay, this can be interpreted in another way, I will be the most happiest person to understand the creation of the process of the creation of the Jagat and its sustenance. So Dhanyavadam to all. I think again I am repeating myself. If you find any mistakes, it is only because of my misunderstanding and limited understandings. Please let me know if I have gone wrong anywhere. Dhanyavadam.
Yeah, thank you, Chiknanjay. That was a really good talk, and it was a very interesting series. Yeah, I do have some comments, but probably I'll take it later. I have enabled everyone to unmute themselves. So as Chiknanjay was alluding to, this is a discussion that we want to have. So please do share your comments, thoughts, feedback, and we can have a good, healthy discussion for around 15 minutes. We have around 15 minutes, so we should be able to do that. Hello, I hope I'm audible to everyone. So do anybody have any questions or comments to Chiknanjay?
I have a question. My question is, since even at the level of Hiranyagarbha, we are saying that there is day and night. So is it like Is it like this concept of day and night? It is so expansive, right? Even from the micro level to the macro level, this day and night is there. It's not like there is a continuum of just one type of uh, existence. It's day and night. So is there a specific reason that this is there? I mean, I was just wondering.
No, what I think is that because Hiranyagarbha has also done some tapas, even they would have accumulated some karma. And that is exactly why this Srishti and Sthiti and Laya comes into picture. And it is not that when some Srishti is already ongoing, unless it is Laya, you cannot have another Srishti on the onset of the Laya. So I frankly feel that, again, this would be the answer. I don't know. But yes, probably because of, when they say even he has done some karma and he has done some tapas, obviously he would be also having an ambition of becoming the Hiranyagarbha. So probably, yes, that is why the Srishti Krama itself has been like that.
Maybe I'll add a point here from what I recollect from Vishnu Purana and some of the other Puranas, right? So the concept of day and night from a Brahma's perspective is basically when the universe is in action versus when the universe is inert, in the sense that when we say it's night, Brahma's night, it's actually the entire creation has been kind of burned down by the fumes of Adisesha. Rudra or Kala will come and he will ensure that the entire creation is, there are these 7 lokas, right? So one is, sorry, 3 of them are Kshara, 3 of them are Akshara, and there is one Kshara, which is perishable yet imperishable kind of a thing. So during this time, the Kshara lokas are all, the perishable ones are all destroyed by the fumes of Adisesha, and Sriman Narayana is considered to be in Yoga Nidra. So that's the differentiation between a day and a night, at least from what I recollect. But yes, as Chiknanjaya also said, there are other ways of looking at the same concept.
If I can add one thing, it is like when we have a fruit and there is a seed of the fruit, that entire power of getting a new tree vests inside that seed. So that is there as avyakta until a person comes and until it is sown and until it is getting an environment. So this Laya will have some effects. It will not be a discrete event, as you said. It is a continuum, and therefore obviously once it is continuously going into the picture, and once there is enough number, I mean enough time passes, probably the other Kartrutva or the Hiranyagarbha, the next Hiranyagarbha can pitch in and he can start the Tanmatra creation. That's what, from the limited knowledge exposure that I have, I can say.
Can I point here? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Bhatta.
Is it audible?
Yes,
Now-
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So one small point that I want to add to Rashmi's question, before we get to the technical aspect of it, which is the understanding the day, night, the length of the day, night, and things like that, I think the bigger message for us, the lesser mortals, is to understand the concept. Because see, for example, Chiknanjaya, he gave this example, right? Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduhu. So Sahasra, it's a very tricky word. at least in our Madhva school, our Acharya, Madhvacharya, in Tatparya Nirnaya, in Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, he's clearly, again, it could be, it might be blasphemous if I analyze it too deep. But one statement that comes in Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya is that our day night is basically a blink for the Hiranyagarbha, and Hiranyagarbha is Chaturmukha Brahma. Now, all these things come under, when we look at the tattvas, right? It all comes under the Ishvara tattva. There are schools of thought which don't even believe in the Ishvara tattva. They stop at 24. 24th is the Prakriti, the Mula Jada Prakriti. It is the 25th, which is typically the Ishvara tattva, which is the like Parabrahma, Tatu Brahma Jignasa. It's only for people who understand tattva only at 24, which stops at Mula Prakriti, which stops at the Jada Prakriti, and then probably some people even consider Purusha to be part of it. And Purusha, they need not be the Sahasra Sirsha Purusha. Now, second point, a translation of even that Rigveda, that Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, Sahasra need not be 1,000. According to Shanacharya, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha is basically Ananta. Sahasra is, commented as Ananta. So, conceptually, what is this Ishvara Tattva? Creation, as Chikananjaru was alluding to. Than getting into the technical aspects around day and night, how long the day would be, because the days of Brahma are too long from our perspective. Somewhere I have heard that his one day night is equivalent to the kalpa from our measure. Now again, right? These are all we don't know how much of it is utpreksha, how much of it is exact measurement. But to even understand what kind of a life he leads, most of us are incapable. That's a small point I wanted to put here.
That's exactly why I thought that to bring in that Kala perspective, because even when I'm saying that this is there or this is not there, it is, we are again, it is because of our karma pala or something. We are into a situation that even if it is there, we are not able to believe. So probably that Shraddha is not coming there, or I don't know. So that's just for the sake of completeness that I put this Kala perspective, and I agree with Bhattavakyaji when he says that we are just we are not even a blink when the other.
I just want to thank Chikananjaru for bringing such a deep subject and making an attempt to, because I think this would be very, very complicated. Unfortunately, we are in a civilizational point where this subject should have been elementary teaching for every kid passing out of this land called Bharat. This is our way of answering, the big brother question: what is life, universe, and everything? This subject should primarily address that question. Okay, the tattvas should be the answer for life, universe, and everything. Immense thanks to you, Chikananjaru, for bringing this subject. I think we should take it out for wider audience. Thank you very much.
I am thankful to all of you, sir. I got an opportunity to learn, and as Feynman says, the best thing to learn something is to talk and discuss. So it is. I understand the lapses from my end as to where I don't have clarity, but yet for the sake of accepting and going further, we just accept something and go further in texts. So it is sort of learning experience for me, and I'm deeply indebted to the Pray for Loka Kalyana. Because of you all, I am just trying to speak something.
Anybody else has any other comments or any questions for Chiknanjaya?
One small addition that I have to make. There was a Swamiji by name Swami Paramananda Bharati, who actually did a course on causality in science and Vedanta for a month at IISc Bangalore. This was in 2018 or 17 or something. He actually, as an unusual Purvashrama, where he was a professor of physics in a professor at IIT Madras. I think he was in the physics department, if I'm correct. So he was there for around 30 years, and he knows both sides of this. I mean, the Vedanta side and also the science side of the actual, the modern science side of it. So the YouTube videos are there. I think if I am not wrong, if I remember correctly, there is something called Prastuta Praharshini in this one. So I can give you the link. I will paste that YouTube link on the this one, the tweet of Gundu Gaji. I think you can go back, because more authentic and more subtle information will be given by him. So again, one of the texts that I actually saw was his monologue or monograph, which he had written, that is with the same title, Causality in Science and Vedanta.
Okay. Thank you, Chiknanjaya, for that information.
Yes, sir. May I ask one small?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yes, the thing is, actually, this is a very vast subject, and then the people doesn't have much information about it. Only out of our curiosity, we are learning a little bit. That is not sufficient. And then more and more courses are required of similar nature, which will enable others to understand properly. Now, very few people are understanding what is the Kalpa, what is the Hiranyagarbha, what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, how it has been derived, what is the duration, everything done. This has to be at a larger thing. So we hope some more discussion of a similar nature may take place quite frequently. That's what my suggestion is.
Sure, sir. If there are more people who are interested in this topic, we can have more discussions on this.
Sir, it doesn't matter how many number of people are there. For having a fruitful discussion, even very few people are also enough, because we can't have a larger audience. We can't request everybody to come and have discussion. Small discussion also, if we are going a little bit deeper into the subject, that would be excellent, I believe. Thank you.
Anybody else has any other comments? Otherwise, I thank Chiknanjaya for this very interesting three-part series. It was definitely enlightening for a large majority. So I'm going to first stop the recording here.